that, as you've seen in the courtroom, I can translate it into American. So really, if you don't understand any of this speech, just raise your hand and I'll translate it into American. No, not you, Ray. I mean anyone but you. Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway. Yeah, so just like to say a massive thanks to the Rubinovitzes for putting us up. I'm sure we can all agree this is amazing. Seriously, can we get rid of this dog? Yeah, they say it's a massive honour to be chosen to be best man, and it is an honour to be doing this, but I can't actually say I was chosen. So what Michael did was he chose my name from a hat, or he picked my name from a hat. And you could say that's kind of a very fair and democratic way of doing things, and Michael is, I suppose, going into politics. So it is a kind of, yeah, I suppose it is a democratic way of doing things, but that depends on how you view politics and the politician, and indeed Michael. If you were a little bit more cynical, you could say that it is symptomatic of the lack of backbone that politicians have these days. And I'm not saying, I'm not saying that Michael lacks balls. I'm just saying that you could choose to see it that way. And for those of you who are a little bit cynical, I've got a bit more detail that you'll be interested in. Like, they got engaged at Christmas, New Year. Yeah, so anyway, I was back in Glasgow and Michael said, you're one of the candidates to be my best man. Have you ever heard this before in your life? So he's going to put my name in a hat. Anyway, so you would think the best thing to do would be, you know, a very open, democratic way to get those candidates in the same room and use a, you know, I don't know what sort of hat he has, and do it there in front of everyone. But what actually happened was it was like 5 months later, Michael sent me an email saying you're best man. Now, I spoke to the rest of the best men and the kind of, or the candidates in the intervening period, and whilst Michael hadn't actually said anything, there was a strong feeling that if any one of us had called Michael and said something like, you know, I want to go and call my firstborn son Michael, then you would have been given the job immediately. I must say I didn't actually do this. For those of you who come to the baptism of my first child, Catherine just really likes the name Michael. You should see. And the rest of them are here actually. The other candidates are, can you stand up guys, it's Paul, Tony. Tony, where are you? And there's my brother Chris. Hello Chris. Take a look at these guys, this speech could have been so much fucking worse. I'm only joking guys, it couldn't have been that much worse. Actually, it's through my brother Chris that I know Michael. They used to work in KFC together, they went to school together. And as a result, a much hairier, spottier, younger, and a much less arrogant Michael used to be around my mum's house years ago. And I sort of looked on him as Chris's annoying friend. But as the years have gone on, he's become my annoying friend. Okay, well, I've forgotten the next bit, hold on.
Tony wouldn't have forgotten.
Excuse me. Tony, do you want to take over? Apparently you know this by heart. Here's the thing actually, I contacted loads of people and asked them for anecdotes about Michael before I sort of wrote this speech. If I'd based my entire speech on those anecdotes, I'd be leaving immediately after the speech, along with Michael. And I thought, well, you know, this is part wedding, part... Excuse me. I'm talking here. Unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, as we know, this is part wedding, part green card application. So I've decided to speak the visa-friendly version of the event here. So Michael was born in January 1983, and is it 19th? Is that right? And I know what you're thinking, that's very young for someone whose hair is receding. Yeah, Michael's first school, primary school, which you Americans call high school, was St Mirren's. And it was there that Michael first tried his hand at sports. And he was an exceptional sportsman, he was exceptionally shit at football. And Des over here told me a story about one particular game where the school team was beaten 7-1, and Michael actually got a game for the school team because his dad was the manager. It's just quite corrupt. But anyway, the worst part of the game was that someone hit a shot from the halfway line and it kind of bounced weakly over Michael's head. And Michael's reaction was to flop to the ground and cry like a baby. Is that true? Yes. Anyway, it's a good story. And you can see several things about the Michael we see here now. And the way he reacted to the goal, you can see the lack of, the early signs of the lack of backbone that he displayed when he chose his best man. You can also see the seeds of political corruption and the nepotistic, meritless decision-making processes of his father's team selection. And you can also see why he became an academic and why he really hates athletic people. I mean, he really, really hates. I don't know if you knew this, but Michael hates athletic people. I mean, you can see this, like, look at his friends, there's not a muscle inside. Not on any one of us. If there's anyone here who's athletic, Natanya got you here. Michael really did not want you to be here. Anyway. But I'm glad he's an academic because it was actually through university that me and Michael became good friends. We didn't study together, but we both studied in Paris at the same time. And it was amazing. It was one of the best times of my life, mostly because of Michael. We used to hang out loads, listen to loads of music, chat. I suppose a lot of the good bits of Michael came out of that. And the only bad thing about it was that Paul was there, doing everyone's head in. It was around this time that actually, it was a very happy time because I met my fiancée, Catherine, there. And it was just before we got together that Michael kissed her. I remember saying to Michael, I was like, she's quite hot actually. I really like her. She's really nice. And then Michael kind of grabbed her by the face and started to kiss her. So, I'm over that now, but if anyone sees them talking for more than a minute, please let me know. I've got a small knife here. Michael has one for protection. Hold on, I have to check it next month. That's the... Oh no, it's not yet. We're on to page 2 now. Page 2 is the really, really terrible bit. Yeah, actually, well, Michael said to me earlier on, he said, did you realise when I found out I was going bald? And it was when I told him, I pointed out he was going bald around about the time we were living in Paris. And that was in 2005, and Michael was still trying to fight this receding hairline in 2009. And by fight it, I mean, like, what he used to do, he had this, like, you can see when it starts just here. And it had this, like, massive kind of mop of hair that went in all directions. So what he used to do every morning, he would get his, like, tub of gel, and he would stand in the mirror, and he would sort of craft this pathetic little fringe like this, and he would look at himself and go, that's great, I'm going to go to university. And then he would leave the house, and as soon as he went outside and there was any kind of wind, it turned into a massive flap. By the time he got to university, he looked a bit like, Doc from Back to the Future. Only with much, much greasier hair. It was really horrendous. I'm glad you stopped doing that, actually. And it was around this time that the exotic beauty that is Natanya walked into his life. Did you know, I don't know if you know this, but did you know that Natanya was the one that pursued Michael?
Yeah, oh my God!
Seriously, like, honestly, that's fucking almost unbelievable. But anyway, they met at a kind of summer camp thing in Spain, and shortly afterwards Michael moved to London, and we went for a drink. Michael was like, yeah, I met this girl. It's amazing, we're going to move to Spain together. She's going to fly from America, I'm going to fly from London. And like, let's be cold about this. You had 4 weeks together, You had no visa, you had no money, you had no friends in Spain. And the whole time he's talking to me, I was like, this is terrible. And you know that way I was kind of thinking one thing but saying another. I was like, yes, sounds like a great idea. That sounds like it's going to go so well. Like. But young love cares not for the cynic, and we're here today celebrating this. No, but honestly, love you guys. Think you're an amazing couple. Can we all raise a toast to Michael and Natanya?
Michael and Natanya.
What do I say? Shalom. My Jewish needs some work.